Yeah. So welcome everyone. Welcome back. It's good to see so many names. I feel like I know a lot of you. If you're feeling up to it and want to turn on your camera, we would love to see some faces as well. Just know you will get the opportunity to turn it off because we're going to have our screen shared for most of it. I know that's prime time to turn your camera off. So while we're introducing ourselves, you all want to hop in and say hi or share your face, go for it. Like I said, thank you all for taking time tonight to join. This hopefully will be really helpful. It's our first one back since the spring. So it's good to see you all. I'll go ahead and introduce myself and then I'll throw it over to Shelly as the other staff member here to introduce herself, and then we'll kind of jump in to the webinar here and I'll do a lot of admin stuff. So my name is Rebecca Greenfield. I feel like I know a lot of you. I'm the Associate Director of Chapter Services for the fraternity. And so I coach a lot of you, and if you haven't heard from me yet, I'm sure you will see my name pop up some point or another. And I help with the webinars. I do kind of a bunch of things all around the fraternity, so really excited to work with you all. Shelly, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I know I've met a lot of you too. I'm the CFO for the fraternity ZBT. You probably recognize my name because you all received invoices recently for your returning brother fees. Yay. So I'm the one who sends you all the nice emails asking you to pay your bills. That's me.
Thanks, Shelly. And we've got two wonderful advisors here on camera, Fred Levinson and Jason Colombini, also known as Beanie. Thank you both for coming and joining, having your cameras on. I would love any input you have throughout the webinar. If you have any advice or any thoughts for the brothers, feel free to hop on in. But we're going to get started. I will start by sharing my screen. So a little overview. Depending on how in tune you've been with your email inboxes over the summer, some of you might know a lot of the information shared. Some of you might have no idea. Additionally, if you are not officers, you might think, what the heck am I doing? I don't know anything we're talking about. And that's okay. That's why we're here. That's why we have coaches, which we'll talk about a little bit later. We're going to go over my ZBT and roster things because you have about, I think it's exactly 31 days from today to get your final rosters updated. And then Shelly will go in and do a final invoice, and she'll touch on that a little bit later. I'm going to show you all how to do that. We're going to talk about adding new initiates as recruitment time is coming. We're going to talk about Plaid, which is our new learning management software. We'll go into that in a little bit. There's a new exciting update with one of our programs there, so I'm really excited to talk about that. We have a little, I emailed you all the fees and dues structure and our deadlines and due dates resource. So I want to go over both of those things. We'll talk briefly about SOE. Like I said, we'll talk about fees and dues, which Shelly will take in a little bit, and then we'll go over coaches. I'll leave time for questions. We'll get you on out of here on this lovely Wednesday night. Sound like a plan, everybody? All right, I'm gonna take that as a yes. Awesome. All right, then I'm gonna go ahead, share my screen. I'm gonna take us all to my ZBT or zbt.org, which can get you to my ZBT. So if you have any questions while I'm speaking, feel free to throw them in the chat. I can't really see it, I don't believe, so they might have to wait till the end unless someone stops me, and that's okay. Or you can unmute yourself. But right now, you all should be looking at zbt.org, the undergraduates page. So we're gonna start at the very beginning. This website can be your lifeblood, your lifeline for everything. It will tell you where the staff is or who the staff is. You go to undergraduates, but for this webinar, we're going to talk about my ZBT right now. So a lot of you, or all of you, every brother in ZBT should have a my ZBT account. You get this right when you're put in the system as a new initiate. You claim it, you do your 6 steps that we always hassle you about. And then you're in there as an undergraduate until you leave the fraternity, become an alumni, advisor one day, hopefully, and do wonderful things with your life. So to get there, typically, to be honest with you, you could just Google my ZBT and it will take you to the portal, or you can go to zbt.org undergraduates and it will say my ZBT. You click on that and you can click portal.zbt.org, or you click sign up and it will take you right to the portal. When you get to the portal, this is what you should see. This is like your home page. You can see it says, hello, Rebecca. It has this little banner for you, and it has a bunch of different things that you can look at. but I want to focus on our resource center and Plaid. Like I said, these are kind of new updates. So does anyone remember that we had a Dropbox account or Dropbox feed that had a bunch of officer resources in it? Someone show me a thumbs up if you have any idea what I'm talking about. Okay, Beanie, I see your thumb. I appreciate that. Well, regardless, we had an officer Dropbox that we would send. Thank you, Dylan. I see you too. It would have a bunch of resources in it. All of that has been transferred over to Plaid. So I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. You're gonna see Resource Center and Plaid. They both lead to the same place. So you could click either one and it will take you to where you need to be. So we'll go ahead and click Resource Center. It will log you in, and it logged me in right away because I have already done this before, but it will take you right there. You might have to create an account in Plaid if this is your first time, but then it will take you to this website. Once you get here, you're going to see a bunch of different things. You can see my enrollments. Likely what will happen is yours will be empty because you probably haven't been enrolled in anything. But I'm going to show you how to enroll, why it's important, and why Plaid is so helpful. So Plaid is, like I said, an online learning management software. There's different courses in here, but this is where all of our resources are going to be now. So you go in, you can see I already enrolled in a bunch of different things just to get the lay of the land. But let's talk about resources. So you can go, it will show you all of them, or you can select a category. Let's select President Resources. Click President Resources, and it will move you to this different thing. And now you have to enroll in each of these different categories. So Standards of Excellence resources, the Journey resources, Journey components, all these different things. Every officer has one, and you click enroll. So let's go into Journey resources. You hit enroll now. You can see in the corner you've been successfully enrolled, and it will show at the bottom. And so now all you have to do to get the resources, you hit run program, and it will tell you. So the Journey audit, I had already looked at this. You would hit download, and it would download for you. Talking about the Journey map, the whole Journey manual. Fairly self-explanatory and fairly simple, but just make sure that you enroll in what you need, because that is how you're going to get the resources now. So we're no longer using the Dropbox, but all the resources are the same, and we're actually sprucing them up a little bit because we want to provide more structure for you all and more like oomph in some of our resources. So that's the resources portion of Plaid and MyZBT and how to get there. The next thing is Tightrope. So this is new, and so I want to make sure everyone hears it, so I'll probably say it a couple times. We have partnered with Plaid, and one of their courses is a Tightrope program. So it's all about hazing prevention, alcohol and other drugs, bystander intervention. There's a whole list of topics. You can see them all here. Culture of drinking, mental health and hazing, healthy relationships. Tightrope will be required from now on for all new initiates. Okay, I'll let that sink in. All new initiates are going to be required to do the Tightrope program as part of their new brother process per se. ZBT, as hopefully you all know, does not have a whole process. We have, you can tell me what the timeline is from bid day to initiation.
3 days.
3 days. Yes. Was that you, Barry?
Hell yeah.
Heck yeah. Okay. 3 days. All right. So from initiation to when they need to be put in MyZBT, what is that timeline? Any takers?
3 days.
3 days. Yes, Beanie, thank you. 3-day rule. That's what we like here at ZBT. 3 days from bid day to initiation. 3 days after initiation, they need to be put into MyZBT as a new initiate. 3 days after that, they should be paying their new initiate fees. So it's another 3-day rule. And then within a week of that, the Brotherhood orientation should occur. That is all happening. You can find information about the Brotherhood orientation in the Journey, but just know those things. This is all can be found on the website. You can ask your chapter coach. It is all there for you, but just know that is something. So again, the Tightrope program in Plaid needs to be done by all new initiates this year and for the years to come. That is something that we are implementing. Feel free to reach out to your chapter coach if you have questions, if you have concerns. We might run into some technical snafus, you know, it's technology, but we will always get it worked out for you. Please have no fear about that. So that is Plaid. How are we feeling?
Rebecca, I've got a quick question.
Yeah, what's up?
For the other, besides Tightrope, for all these other resources you went over, is that required then for all of the officers to have looked at them, or is that not required or important or anything like that?
No, not required. So you see
Okay.
this high wire one, you get an SOE point, I believe, if all the officers do high wire, that's like an elevated tightrope. But for the
Mhm.
other ones, it's more just if they want the resources. So I obviously recommend that's where their like officer manuals will be. You enroll in your specific role, I guess, and then it tells you what the options are. So donor drive, president has basically all of them because they need to know everything going on, but the other roles have ones more specific, just like the Dropbox did.
Cool. That's great. Thanks.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Good question. Okay. Feel free to take some notes, write some questions down in the chat. We'll also answer questions at the end. But now I want to move to my ZBT and the admin stuff in there. So like I said earlier, my ZBT and ZBT.org will be your lifeline with things. So to get to Plaid, you have to go to my ZBT anyway, which is a really good thing because you'll be spending some time in there. But this is your like personal front page. Now to do things for the chapter. So when we're talking about adding new initiates, updating your roster, changing roles, you need to make sure that your chapter is selected. So yours will look a little different because you're only in one chapter, unless you're an advisor advising multiple chapters. But yours will say whatever chapter you're in. So I'm going to pick on our good friends at Alpha Omega. I believe Will is here. And you can see this is what, when you pick your chapter, this is what should show up. If it doesn't, contact us. But we're going to start with the roster because those edits, like I said, are due in the next month. But right now you'll see most of these men say undergraduate, as they should. The idea is that all new initiates should complete their steps, as soon as possible. Take that 3 days and run with it. Tell them that's the rule, because they don't have full access to anything until they're fully in there. So they just need to go through a few steps. We'll go through that in a little bit. Additionally, one more important thing about getting new initiates in the system, if they are in your chapter and they are not in my ZBT, they are not covered by ZBT's insurance. This is a huge liability. Say someone slips and falls at an event, they are not covered by insurance until they're in our system. So that is really, really, really important. But I digress. All right, so we're here. You need to update your roster. Pretty simple to do. This should be spearheaded by the operations director. It is their responsibility to update roster and keep it up to date with us and with the university or institution. But we're just gonna act like we're doing it. So you go to roster, you click the little 3 dots and you say update contact status. And then it will take you to this lovely page. You select a status. So abroad, if they are abroad. Clinical, internship, military, or student teaching, that is if they're, doing any of those things, if they're not really going to be involved on campus, things of that nature. 2 caveats with that. ZBT, we still charge our national fees and dues, which Shelley will touch on later, even if they are marked as abroad or if they're on an internship. ZBT is Brotherhood for a lifetime. You're in college for 4 years. That's the typical track. And so we bill for the 4 years, whether they are on campus or not. Now, if someone has left school fully, then they can either be expelled or there are some move to alumnus, whatever that looks like, which we'll go over. But just know if they're abroad, they will still be charged, and you can work with your chapter coach to figure out how to make that more manageable on the chapter's end. But then you have alumnus, disaffiliate, expelled, and then what most men are, if they're active, they are undergraduates. So if alumnus is only for men that have graduated or that are transferring to a new school. That can get a little confusing. So again, it's if they have graduated or if they've transferred to a new school. If they transfer, there's also a second form that needs to be done. And you can contact your coach and they can get you that form. Disaffiliating is only the first 30 days after initiation. This is when a brother gets initiated, realizes maybe he can't pay, or something has happened and he no longer wants to be a member. He can disaffiliate. The chapter will be credited back his new initiate fees, and you would mark him as a disaffiliate, and there's also a form that goes along with that. And then the final one is expelled. This is when a brother, goes through SBRV and they are not adding value to the chapter. This is when someone has a standards hearing or they have done something egregious and they have to be expelled. This is also when they just no longer want to be a member, but they, just kind of leave the chapter in good standing. They're also expelled there. Again, this is when you would start it in the portal, and then there's a form that you can ask your chapter coach for, or you can find it in the Plaid resources. And all you would do is you would click one of these, and then you would hit the submit button, and you would get a confirmation, and then you would see, I didn't do it, but you would see pending. And the reason it'll say pending is because we have a wonderful membership services manager. Her name is Kim, and she goes through and has to approve all of these different things to make sure things are right on the back end. So when I say you have 31 days to update your roster, think of it as actually having 25 days, because Kim has to go in and update everything to make sure it looks good. Does anyone have any questions about updating the rosters right now? Okay, I hope you all are still awake. We'll keep trucking. The next one is updating roles. So this is typically done by the president or operations director. Also fairly simple. It's a quick, touch of a button. You can either edit roles here. You can do edit term dates, add role, end role, or my personal favorite is you go to add role. You click who it is. So we'll take Aaron. Congratulations, Aaron. You would put them as Brotherhood Development Director or whatever role it is, a begin date. You can leave the end date blank, or you can put an end date, and then you would hit assign role. And then voila, if you hit submit and you refresh the page, they would be updated in the roles section. You could also, once you do that and everything is updated, you can take away the old officers' roles. But I will warn you, let's say you end your role as president, you will no longer have access to make someone president. So once you take your role away, you lose the access. So just be wary of that. And then finally, adding new initiates. This one always trips people up because it kind of doesn't make sense. I bet normally you would think you go to your roster, find a way to add. That makes sense. But in this way, it's actually under recruitment because we're kind of finishing out the phases. So this is a really cool tool that MyZBT has. You can take them all the way from a new referral to bid accepted. There are so many different phases of recruitment, and it helps keep everything straight. However, we do understand that a lot of your chapters have your own ways to do it, your own processes, and that is fine, as long as you still get them in here. So you go to recruitment, you go to bid accepted, and you press this little plus button here, or you can add potential new brothers here. And then what you need to do is you would put their basic contact information, first name, last name, email, and their phone number. Hit create. And then the most important part is once they're all in, you have to hit report. If you don't hit report, it won't actually send it. Your roster won't be updated, and all of your work will just be sitting there. So make sure you hit report. Again, once that happens, you can go back to your roster. You will see a bunch of people, because I know you all have just recruited 100,000 men to join your chapter. And you will see new initiate. And at this point, this is where you and the Brotherhood Development Director and the Provost and the Operations Director get to work with them to make sure that they complete their 6 steps and go through that process. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a minute and hopefully get a chance to look at you all. What questions do we have? Because I just threw a lot of information at you, and there will be more coming. Any questions right now?
I have a quick question.
Yeah, what's up?
So I have a person in my chapter who recently just graduated and is working around campus. Would that person be technically included in the national fees?
So if they have graduated, no. They're no longer part of the chapter, and so you would mark them as alumnus. As long as they're marked as alumnus, they wouldn't be included in the fees.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. Good question. All right. We're going to change gears a little bit. I want to talk about deadlines and SOE. So I'm going to actually drop you all should have gotten that email from me yesterday, but I'm going to drop our deadlines and due dates document in the chat as long as I can find it. Let's see. No. Here we go, deadlines and due dates. I'm just kidding. It's not going to let me do it. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to share my screen. Okay. All right. So this is our deadlines and due dates. You can also find this on the website. Shocker. This is a very basic, like big things you need to know. So you can see the first one, this officer webinar, and who would be the contact for that? That would be me. You can see here, new initiate fees due 72 hours after initiation, officer updates, it talks about tax forms, basic information. It also gives you all the Jewish holidays because that's important. I know, so I'm sure a lot of you are actually dealing with this. Jewish holidays this year fall on almost every weekend in September, which makes it a little difficult to plan events. A lot of schools have rush during these things. So rush during these events. So just know that it talks about when payments and rosters are due, the other webinar dates, talks about SOE, which we'll talk about in a second. The Summit Against Hate, which is a great combating anti-Semitism program. And it goes all the way through from literally today to next summer. This is obviously not all encompassing. There are many other things, but this is just an overview. So just be on the lookout, maybe put these things in your calendar when you make your chapter calendar so everyone knows about it, or at least an e-board calendar. So you all know what these deadlines are. And it even gives you convention for next year, which I hope to see you all there. So these are our deadlines and due dates. You all got it in an email, but I just wanted to cover it. And then lastly, I want to talk about SOE, and then I'll throw it over to Shelly for the dues and fees structure. But so last year, SOE got a pretty big overhaul. We went from going academic year to calendar year. We went from star points to various different things. And I think it's honestly going to make the process 100 times easier and more equitable for all of our chapters. Once again, you can find it on zbt.org. And so I will share my screen one more time, hopefully. I think I have to do it one more time later in the meeting. But we'll go to zbt.org, click undergraduates. Yeah, undergraduates, standards of excellence. And then you can see this is your page that you needed. So it's made up of 4 categories. The big packet is there that outlines everything for you. But the main thing to note is that portals are open through January 31st, but you can only submit for things that happened for the 2023 year. So we're giving you all like an extra month to submit things that happened. You can also click the live tracker to see where you are at. Good question, Grayson. I see you're all into that in a second. So this is a live tracker. You can see where it's at. You can see you need 50% of the points available to be accredited. If you're at 50%, that's technically an accredited with Watch. You're eligible for all awards except the Bremer Cup. You need to hit at least 60% to be accredited and be eligible for the Bremer Cup as a chapter. You can see a lot of our chapters not there yet, which makes sense because we're only at half the year, half of the SOE year. But a shameless plug, you can get up to, I think, 7 points for attending these monthly webinars, and that's 5% of the points. So that automatically, just by sitting here and soaking up some information, you get points, and hopefully you learn something along the way. Grayson, the tracker, I will be honest with you, we are a bit behind in grading. So the tracker gets updated ideally once a week, once every other week, or just as we're going on. It will start to ramp up because we know that you all want to see the points roll in. We know that's a big thing for you. And also we want to make sure that you're getting adequate feedback. If you submit by, I believe, December 1st, you will be getting feedback for your information or for your points submitted. After that, because we get so many points rolling in, it likely you won't be able to get feedback on that, but you have until, like I said, January 31st to submit. Does anyone have any questions about SOE right now? As always, reach out to your coaches if you have questions. They can walk you through anything, and if they don't know the answer, they can get it for you. I did also want to mention, so as many of you know, our officer structure, actually, so next month's webinar is about elections and officer transition, because that is when we want you all to start preparing for elections, is kind of, we want you on a November to November cycle. So in addition to needing to be actually credited, getting 60% of your points to be Brummer eligible, you also need to be on our officer structure and our timeline. That is a new change for this year. They might be hearing for the first time here. So feel free to ask your coach any questions with that. But yes, in order to be eligible for the Brummer, you need to be on our officer structure and you need to have at least 60% standards of excellence points. And yes, if you forgot something in the spring, you can still submit the point in the fall. Okay. I'm going to throw it over to Shelly because I've done a lot of talking. I'm sure you want to hear from someone else. She's going to talk about our fees and dues structure, as that has changed a little bit for this year. And yeah, Shelly, I'll throw it over to you.
Okay, hello everyone. So by now you should have received your invoices. If not, you can reach out to me and I can resend it out to you. But typically I have sent those out to the president, the finance director, and advisors, and then our chapter coaches. So all of you should have seen that by now, either by email, or you can also log into your chapter spot portal, and under SOA, which is statement of account, you'll be able to see everything I've invoiced, all of your payments, etc. And you can also pay through there. But having said that, so just a little background on how we changed things up this year. Historically, we've always billed our returning brother fees in the fall, but during COVID, we decided it was easier for our groups to pay half in the fall and half in the spring. So we went back to basically how we've always done it, which is that one invoice for everyone in the fall. So we pull your roster on August 15th, and whatever that number is, that's what we base our billing on. Having said that, you'll see in the due dates, you still have until September 30th to get your roster corrected. So I pulled it on August 15th. I invoice October 1st. I'll log in and I'll pull that roster again. So if you've removed brothers, be assured that I will credit your account for any of those brothers you removed because maybe they graduated or they were expelled and you hadn't had a chance to remove them. So there will be no changes after September 30th. So whatever that invoice is sticks for the rest of the year. So we will not bill again until next fall. So essentially, you'll just be seeing that one invoice from me for the fall, and that's it. The only other invoices you'll see through the year are just in the event that you have new initiates. Other than that, you get that one invoice. So if your chapter is struggling and you want to go on a payment plan, reach out to me. I'll be happy to set that up for you. I'll send you a form, and then you determine based on your best budgeting practices what you want to pay monthly, or even if you want to go back to the way we billed it last year, which is you pay half in the fall and half in the spring. That's fine too. Just understand that our final deadline is March 31st of 24. So that means everything, new initiates, returning brother fees, everything has to be paid by next March. So then with that invoice, if people are on Greek Bill, you'll take that invoice and then you'll charge out all of your brothers based on the fee that we charge. So annually that fee is $437. And then the new initiates, if your chapter rate is $488. Prospective chapters, which are our new chapters, they would receive $310 for the returning brother fees, and then $320 for any new initiates. Again, as Rebecca had mentioned, the new initiates, you need to report those within 72 hours. I will send out an invoice every Monday. We pull the prior week's new initiates. So you'll receive that invoice pretty much on the Monday or the Tuesday following that week that you've entered those new brothers. This way we get them all covered under insurance and everything. And once it's paid for, Kim in our office, she'll get all of your information where she'll send out packages to you. So you'll get the credentials for those new brothers, their pins, their certificates, their cards, etc. So that's only in the event that all that new initiate invoice has been paid in full. Will she package those up and send them out at once? That's pretty much all I had on the fees and dues. The only thing I guess I could mention is the breakdown, but that's included on zbt.org. If you go under resources, we're very transparent. We also show our fees and dues for the year, and the due date schedule is on there as well. Same thing under your resources. So under your MyZBT, you also have those resources in there where you can see the chapter fees and dues. And you should be communicating that out to all of your brothers. So every one of them understands what we invoice. I know that you charge your local dues. That's on you. We don't get involved in your local dues. You set those however you see fit according to your budget. How you want to handle that, again, that's up to you. We're only concerned about the invoice that I send out. So all brothers understand exactly what they've been invoiced and the due dates and pay accordingly. Did I miss anything, Rebecca?
No, you crushed it. Does anyone have any questions for Shelly while she is here? This is a great time as she is our, like she said, chief financial officer, so she knows all about the monies. Going once and twice. All right, sold. Yeah, she just dropped her email in the chat. Shelly is such a good resource for y'all if you need to talk about returning brother fee payment plan. If you need to talk about what maybe billing your chapter in installments and then paying us in installments up to that March deadline would look like. She's always willing to chat with you all. Just make sure you communicate with her and she'll work with you all as best she can. So thank you, Shelly. All right. I want to just round us out by introducing our chapter coaches that are here and then explaining to y'all kind of what that relationship hopefully should look like and where you can find more information about your coaches. But I do have one question. Who here even knows that what a chapter coach is from headquarters? Throw up an emoji. Whatever you gotta do. Okay, I got a thumbs up. I got another thumbs up. I got a couple. Okay, so either you all have fallen asleep or you don't, and that's totally okay. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation. It is, in all truthfulness, it is likely that if you are not the current chapter president, and even if you are on the e-board, and especially if you're not, you likely didn't know that a chapter coach might be a thing, because we mainly communicate with the chapter president. Basically, a chapter coach is your coach or your link to the international headquarters. We are there to support you. We are there to advocate for you. We're there to coach you and advise you. We are not there to micromanage you or, tell you how to run your chapter. We're here to make sure that you are following the ZBT experience, and getting the ZBT experience that is safe and fun and impactful, while also letting you have that autonomy of running your chapter how you want. So things like this, coaches are on here. I'll let them introduce themselves in a second. But they're your link to headquarters. If something happens, they're the people that you should call and get advice from. Obviously, along with your chapter advisors and your advisors at school, we are all kind of a triad to help support you all. So I'm going to throw it over to Lucy. I know she's here, to let her introduce herself. I don't know where you are, but I know that you are here.
Hi, everyone. I don't know if you can see me. Oh, wait. Oh, my goodness. Okay, sorry. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Lucy Silverman, and I am the Assistant Director of Heritage Education and Partnerships, and I have 11 chapters of my own. I went to undergrad at Texas A&M University and graduated in May of 2022, and now I am getting my master's in public administration with a focus in nonprofit management from American University, and I will graduate next spring.
Thanks, Lucy. Yeah. So if you were one of her chapters, I know that you all should have gotten an email from her because she told me that she already introduced herself. So that's awesome. And then I'm going to let Molly, who I'm sure most of you know already, just say a quick hello as well.
Hey, everyone. My name is Molly. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the director of the undergraduate experience for the fraternity. I live and work out of Oklahoma. I've been on staff for a little over a year and have a handful of chapters, but we will probably cross paths at some point, just interacting or, happy to work with you all. If at any point any conduct things come up throughout this semester, please make sure that you're letting your chapter coach can be included in the process as headquarters. a lot of times we can come in and help be your advocate and make sure that your university is following their process correctly. I stress this to chapter presidents at convention, but want to stress it again that if you ever are in any conduct trouble, just make sure to loop in headquarters. But great to be here tonight, and thank you all.
Sweet. Thanks, Molly. All right, now I'm just going to quickly show you all how to find who your chapter coach is, because by the little question earlier, it sounds like a lot of you might not know. So once again, we'll go to zbt.org. There are a couple of different ways to find it, but probably the easiest one, if you go to undergraduates and then you go to officer resources, you will see one that says, who is my chapter coach? And then it will come down with this, graphic. And it tells you, you can find it by the university, your chapter designation, and it will tell you who your chapter coach is. That is pretty simple right there. And then you can see how to contact them. So then you would click, how do I contact them? This is another page where you can see who your chapter coach is. And then this is our headquarters staff directory. So the coaches are Ricky, Chris, Cassie, Molly, myself, and Lucy. We are the ones that have a portfolio of chapters. You can see all of our titles, emails, and phone numbers on the website. Feel free to always reach out to us. We want to be here to help you all. Like I said, we are here to be your support system and answer any questions that you might have. So feel free to reach out as always. Does anyone have any questions about chapter coaches, chapter coaching? The idea is that we will be communicating with you all, and we just expect that you will kind of reciprocate that communication. Our goal is to always respond to emails within 48 hours, sometimes that at 48 business hours. Sometimes that is delayed. If you text us, you might get a quicker response. If there is a true emergency, please call 911 and then loop us in. But if we are out one day, you can always call the headquarters office and we can try and get you some information if something is super, super urgent. Any questions about anything so far? That is, spoiler alert, all of the content that we have. I want to leave it open for questions. Then I have a little assessment at the end. So yes, Ben, what's up?
Who do we email for the payment plan for returning brother fees again?
That would be Shelly. So she dropped her email in the chat, but she would be the person to email for that. Good question. What else? Keep them coming.
I have a question about statuses in my ZBT.
Okay.
If someone dropped out of school, would that be marked as expelled?
That's a good question. So if they dropped out of school, that probably would be marked as expelled, or
Like, it was after a freshman year, so like don't think that would be considered an alumni.
right. Yeah, because we don't really have like a left school type of thing. So yes, it would be an expulsion, and you would mark on there like left school in that regard.
Thank you.
Fred, what's up?
Yeah, we just went through that. We had a brother who withdrew from school and we had to expel them.
Perfect. There we go. So that's your answer. I'll let you take
Thanks.
that one. Thank you.
And that was current this semester, so it's fresh.
Yes. Thank you. What else? Okay. I'm not hearing any questions right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an assessment link in the chat. Please fill this out. This is how we monitor attendance for the whole event. This is how we'll allocate those SOE points, because like I said earlier, you all get a point, your chapter gets a point for you all being here. Our next one, so every webinar, it will be the last Wednesday of every month, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, all the other times for the other time zones. We'll send reminders, we'll do Instagram posts again, but I appreciate you all being here. The next one, like I said, is about officer elections, a timeline, transition, all things of that nature. So feel free to reach out to your coach with any questions, if you have any concerns. Remember, those rosters need to be updated. Told you 31 days, try and make it sooner because Kim has to go in and approve all of them. And then as your recruitment starts and new initiates come in, get them on the roster, and a lot of the admin things will be taken care of that way. So after you finish that assessment, you're free to go. I'll stick around on here. Molly and Lucy, if y'all will stick around as well in case anyone has questions for their coach. But I appreciate you all being here. Happy Wednesday, and enjoy the rest of your week. Be safe out there with the weather, and I'll talk to you all soon.
Thank you.
I will.